I feel like this game was such a Rorschach test. They go to Tampa. They go across the country. They beat Tampa. They give the game away. They come back, win by 3. Special teams meltdowns. They find a way to win. Do you come away from this game being like, all right, this team's improving. This team is a legit Super Bowl contender. If they can win like this, watch out. Or are you thinking, nah, man, there's something wrong with this team, not a legit contender?
I mean, I haven't thought they were a contender all year. I haven't thought that way. The Chiefs, I'll say this. The Chiefs went into overtime with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the same team just 6 days ago. So that part, if you consider that, kind of encouraging in that regard. But in general, no, I haven't felt like that with this team this year. We'll see. His Christian McCaffrey's first game back, he only averaged 3 yards per carry. But again, it's his first game back. So that could change as the season goes on. And I would hope it does. I don't know. If there's a few players that seem kind of washed. And I'm not just saying this because of your situation, but I was watching Kyle Juszczyk yesterday, and I keep reiterating this because if go back and watch the film, I'm asking all you guys to go back and watch the film. He was getting tackled more than the player with the ball. Like he was not moving anyone. There's no point of him being out there. If you're not going to move bodies, anybody can be in the way for that much money. Like it seems like he's washed as a blocker. He still has hands. But as a blocker, he's ineffective out there. And that's part of the reason why I think Christian was struggling yesterday. We'll see what's up with Christian. But Christian's got to be Christian from last year for these guys to be legitimate contenders. And we'll see. He did great in the passing game, and I'm sure he'll work it out in the run game as things go on. But you got to block for him if you want that. Or remove him from the game, put somebody else in there that can block for him. But that was a big problem yesterday. I don't know if people go back and watch. There was no movement at all from the fullback.
Yeah. So the fullback isn't what it used to be. Special teams are just the worst. And it's hard to say, well, they could if they just get rid of Moody and bring in Carlson, they're good. Jacob Cowing muffed the punt. I mean, kickoff coverage, punt coverage, everything is an issue. So it's hard to say a team is like a legit Super Bowl contender when 1/3 of their team is abysmal. Not bad. The worst. That's a tough one.
You can't be a legitimate Super Bowl contender when your special teams is dead last, because special teams is important.
It is.
You can't be dead last and be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. And you can't be they were 28th going into the game yesterday in the red zone. Did that improve? I don't think so. I think it probably went down or stayed the same. You can't be a legitimate Super Bowl contender if you're dead last in the red zone. Now, they have time to fix both of those things. Special teams reminds me as a basketball coach. It reminds me outside of kicker, because, kicker's a kicker. But outside of kicker and return man, it's really just about discipline and effort. And that could be fixed if they find a way to divulge, pull that out of themselves. But that's really, to me, it's more of a head coach thing, right? Like the players that are on special teams, they're put there by the head coach, and the discipline has to come from the head coach. They shot themselves in the foot a lot of times yesterday with penalties, made it closer than it probably needed to be. Tampa Bay Buccaneers bailed out the 49ers a couple times with penalties, extended the offense at least 3 times. They extended drives that would have probably ended had the Buccaneers not committed penalties. So they were bailed out a little bit, but the 49ers just lack discipline. And that's one of the big things that they're missing if they want to be legitimate contenders this year. And I don't see it, but there's time for them to put it together.
Okay, let's keep going. I mean, Brock Purdy played so well in this game. And at least in this game, he played like a quarterback who definitely could win a Super Bowl. So if you have a quarterback playing like that would make you confident that you're a Super Bowl contender. But I think the other thing that was kind of interesting was McCaffrey. He returns. They give him the full workload. He had the nice catch up the sideline. He had some useful check down catches, but ultimately he was not the offensive player of the year. Maybe I missed it, but I don't think he broke a tackle. And when he was really cooking with the Niners, he was like a scat back. He built like Reggie Bush, but he doesn't run like Reggie Bush. When he was at his peak with the Niners, he would break tackles, he would run hard. Then he fumbled in the Super Bowl. I don't think he broke a tackle after that. And then I feel like in the game yesterday, he was running a lot like he did in the Super Bowl, kind of protecting himself, which you understand. But that's not the Christian McCaffrey that's going to like carry them. I mean, Brock Purdy was clearly better. He was the MVP of the offense, not McCaffrey yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, McCaffrey hasn't played football in a long time, so I'll give him that. Like, I don't know if we're seeing.
Maybe he'll round into form over time this year.
Right,
maybe not.
Right. But yeah, I mean, Brock was interesting, man. First half, he looked like, who is this guy? Like, we can't. This isn't a honestly like
missing high, missing like four times.
Brock Purdy in the first half did not look like a franchise quarterback. In the second half,
it was a lot like the first half against Dallas. 10 points, a lot of missed passes.
And then the third quarter it came out. But in the second half of that game, that was a phenomenal game from Brock Purdy. Mm-hmm. So that consistency, I don't know. I don't know where he's going to get it from. I don't know why he was off. I don't know. The bye week. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of excuses, reasons why he was off in that first half so bad. But in that second half, that was phenomenal. Two comeback drives in the fourth quarter. If he could play like he did in the second half of the Cowboys game and in the second half of this game consistently, yeah, then by all means, he looks like a franchise quarterback, looks great. I was impressed with what I saw from Brock Purdy in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. 2 comeback game-winning drives, which he doesn't have a ton on his resume, but he did it yesterday, and I think that was important. Also, though, real quick, if you look at his passing chart, everything was under 20 yards, which is actually good to see. If that's all I ever saw from Brock Purdy, I'd be concerned, like, man, this guy can't go deep. But yesterday, it was all under 20 yards. He kept things short, took the dump off to Christian McCaffrey, and that is extremely helpful for Brock Purdy. It's underestimated how helpful that was in yesterday's game. Being able to just, if nothing there, dump it off to Christian McCaffrey and let him go to work. So I think that's encouraging also for the season.
Yeah, last thing I would say is that, like, why I came away from this game feeling sort of pessimistic about the Niners despite them winning. Like, yeah, they found a way to win on the road, but they were facing a team that had no receivers. Yep. And it's not like the Niners found a new standard that they could, or a new gear that they could kick it into. Like, they survived against a team that's lost 4 of 5 or 5 of 6. And all the issues the Niners had before the bye week popped up again, which is disconcerting. It's like you had a week off to do the autopsy and really self-scout and be honest with yourself. And these are our problems. And now I'm gonna spend all week thinking about how to fix them. And it's like, what was the solution? Yeah. Like, oh, Christian's coming back. We don't have problems. We'll be good. It's like, no, you have problems. And Christian can't fix them. Even if he were the Christian from last year, he couldn't fix them all. He's not the Christian from last year. That's what's so disconcerting. Like, you had a bye week to fix it. And this is a team that seems still the same team they were week 3.
We're a big problem that's not being talked about. A big problem that last year in the playoffs, and a big problem yesterday that for whatever reason, I don't know if opposing teams that play the 49ers would just pay a little bit more attention to what's going on with this team. I think a lot more teams could beat the 49ers. Yesterday, Bucky Irving, 13 carries, 73 yards, 5.6 per carry, and a touchdown. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the Buccaneers didn't just keep running with this dude, because the 49ers could not stop him. It was a problem that they had in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. They played one other really good rushing team this year, which is the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals put up 160-plus yards on them. Then they played the 10th best rushing team yesterday in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who put up 110 total yards on them, and Bucky Irving was 5.6 yards per carry. They can't stop the run. Can you imagine if they played the Ravens in the Super Bowl? Like, if they made it to the Super Bowl and had to face Baltimore, maybe they beat them, maybe. But this is a big problem, because as the season goes on, they're facing more and more of these teams that can run the ball. 49ers got to figure that out. I think one of the things I'd like to see is more Evan Anderson. When he's in, he does really good, but they don't play him enough. So 49ers got to figure out how to stop the run, how to score in the red zone, how to make freaking field goals, and how to play special teams, which those are some major things. How to use their words on the sideline. How to use your words on the sideline. So those are some things they need to work on. Yeah.